morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got some news to look at. And we're going to go straight into, well, frankly, awesome news. Or maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. You see, we've started to see some Sword and Shield cards getting openings, leaking out onto the internet, and one of those was by the folks over at Drackenrose. I will link their video in the description, make sure you check it out. And what we found when having a look at their video, and I've had a bunch of people link me to this, you'll notice that if we look at this copy of Potion, or this copy of Chin Chow, we've got a different reverse holo pattern. This is big news, ladies and gentlemen. This is genuinely, legitimately big news. We have had the same holo pattern, or reverse holo pattern, for pretty much the entire Sun and Moon era. Now, in Sun and Moon, what we've had is one big energy symbol, kind of flanked by littler energy symbols. So you've still had the energy symbols all over the reverse holo, but now we've actually got just a whole bunch of little ones out and around as well. Well, in the new one, what we see is kind of like a grid pattern with the symbol in them. Now it's either energy symbol, and then for trainers it's just that little Pokeball symbol, showing us that it's a trainer card. It kind of looks like a series of conveyor belts. I kind of like them. They're very, very different. They're very, very weird, but they're very, very cool. Now, of course, this all kicked off with the trainer symbols back a little while ago in the X and Y era. I mean, if we have a look at Lenny in here, we can see it's actually more even. So we've still got the energy symbols all over them, but it's a little bit more even now. Now, it's really, really strange, because I remember when these were first revealed, when these were first shown, and people absolutely adored them. The feedback was phenomenal. Lately, I've seen a bunch of people not only saying, oh, I don't really like them, but actually telling me, nah, you know what, we'll see. No, even at the time, they didn't go down particularly well. Even at the time, people weren't really liking them. Well, hang on a second. I was playing back then. I was collecting back then. And I assure you, the feedback we got when we saw these was wonderful. We absolutely loved them. Now, going back a little bit further, if we have a look at, say, for instance, the Excelgor from Plasma Blast, we can see that we had what is often referred to as a mirror reverse holo. So, when we say mirror reverse holo, what we basically mean is it's just flat shiny. There's no symbols, no anything else on it. It is just a flat, well, like a mirror-like holo. Now, Japan actually never went away from this. Japan's reverse holos have been mirror holo for, well, as long as I can remember anyway. They certainly have been for the whole time we've been messing around with energy symbols. Now, these were not the first ones that actually gave us the energy symbols in the reverse holo pattern. The lovely Primal Lugia has shown me this Dark Celebi that came from Hidden Legends, where you actually do see all the energy symbols behind in the holo, but you also see, you know, the Dark Grass, because Dark Celebi was that dual type, actually behind the text box there, which was extremely cool. There was a period of time, of course, where reverse holos did have all the energy symbols, all the ones we had back then. Remember, we're not seeing any fairy and we're not seeing any dragon because they weren't a thing back then. This was a little bit too early. But we see them actually in the holo behind. We can see that again on this Bulbasaur here. Very, very cool with all the energy symbols. And we can see it with Cyber here as well. Although Cyber's also got the Pokeball rocking there. Different types of reverse holos. Now, what's really, really cool, if we go back a little while, the reverse holos actually had the set name, the set logo printed on the card as if they were a pre-release promo. So if we take a look at this Donphan from Holland Phantoms, for instance, we can see that we've actually got the logo for Holland Phantoms just printed right onto the card. These are cool. Pokemon tend to change these up every few years. It makes sense. As we went into the X and Y block, we got the energy symbols on them. As we went into the Sun and Moon block, we got the large energy symbol flanked by a lot of little energy symbols. And as we're going into the Sun and Moon block, we get what I'm referring to, at least, as the conveyor belt style of reverse holos. I want to know, though, we've got a couple more things to talk about in this video, but I do want to know what you think about these. I want to know what your opinion is. I want to know what you think of these compared to older styles of reverse holos. I'm an absolute sucker for the old ones with the energy symbols in the holo. I'm similarly an absolute sucker for the ones that have the actual name of the set printed on them. But that's just me. I like these new style of reverse holos. I don't think I can tell you they're my absolute favourite. But I do like to have a little bit of change, and I like things to be a little bit different, so go team, ladies and gentlemen. Go team. Now, one other very, very important thing we need to talk about here. It has been officially confirmed by Pokemon themselves that this first turn rule change will take effect for Pokemon pre-releases. Now, this is a rule that has just been introduced whereby if you want to play a supporter card on your first turn of the game and you're going first, you're just not allowed. The new rule is that if you're going first, you are not allowed to play a supporter and you're not allowed to attack, but that's been the rule for a little while. I did a whole video about it. I'll pop a link in the description. And I had a bunch of people asking me, all right, Wassy, but what about pre-releases? Now, the rule was exceptionally clear. Pokemon had said that this first turn rule change goes into effect on Friday the 21st of February, which is of course the first Friday of the month. The sets always get released on the first Friday in a month. The third Friday in a month is when they're legal for tournament play. So there was no decision here. There was no rumours. It was very, very clear. No, they were 100% definitely not following the new turn 1 rule. Because they were, by the very nature of pre-releases, they were pre-release. So no, we didn't take the new rule. There was no question, no argument. There was no all but no. We weren't following those rules. And I heard a couple of stores were planning on doing so, and my answer was, look, that is incorrect, but if the player base are into it, does it really matter? But it was incorrect. Now, very sensibly, Pokemon have made an announcement, and they have said that pre-releases will be following this new rule. Which makes sense. Just to be clear, the announcement was these rules go into effect on February the 21st. Pre-releases happened before, pre-releases don't have the new rules. Pokemon then comes in with an update to the rule going, yeah, but they also count for pre-releases, and then any confusion is removed. We do have the new rule for pre-releases. Here's what Pokemon said. At the start of the X and Y series, a rule was introduced to prevent the player who goes first from attacking on the first turn. Starting on February the 21st, 2020, the date the Pokemon TCG Sword and Shield becomes legal for tournament play, there will be an additional restriction. The player who goes first cannot play a supporter card on the first turn. This change is an attempt to make it less of an advantage to go first. Some strategies may benefit when the player goes second, but others might work out better if the player goes first. We hope this results in interesting choices in both gameplay and deck building. Please also note the Pokemon TCG Sword and Shield pre-release events will be played using this rule. That has been added since the announcement was made. When the announcement was made, there was no question whatsoever that these rules were not in force for pre-releases. That has since changed. These rules are now totally in force for pre-releases. Which I like. It's not so bad here. Sword and Shield doesn't have those really degenerate supporters like Welder, that lets you attach 2 extra energy and draw cards, or Belelba and Bryson Man, that lets you discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Bearing in mind, right, you're only playing 1 or 2 of a lot of your cards in a pre-release. You're only playing what you pulled. So you could mill your opponent's only stage 2, for instance, and kind of ruin their deck before you've even got going, and that would be, frankly, a little bit unfair. There is still BD, and BD's actually a sneaky great supporter for pre-releases. BD's the one that lets you attach another energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. So that one's going to be really good for pre-releases, but there isn't anything along the lines of Welder or Belelba and Bryson Man, which would be really horrible. But I like it. I like that they're saying, look, we're moving into the Sun and Moon era. We're going to have these rules in Sun and Moon. So why would we not also have these rules in the Sun and Moon pre-releases, as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, that sounds eminently sensible. So there we go. One important piece of news if you're going to pre-releases, one cool piece of news that may or may not affect you, but I think it's very cool indeed. But I'd like to know your opinion on both of these stories, so, let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are still pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.